विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते राधानाथ स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सखगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सखगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसूते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ईश्वर परम कृष्ण सच्चिदानंद विग्रह अनादिरादिर् गोविंद सर्व कारण कारणम। Hare Krishna. By Lord Sri Krishna's causeless mercy, we have successfully finished 3 slokas in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the most confidential knowledge. I welcome the devotees who are joining for the first time today, and I will be covering these slokas from different chapters so you won't miss anything. So in this chapter, Krishna is teaching us, giving us the most confidential knowledge. So Krishna is saying that this Bhagavad Gita is the topmost secret because only devotees can understand. So the only qualification to understand Bhagavad Gita is just being a devotee of Krishna. So that means having faith on Krishna. Then we will get the complete knowledge. And once we get this complete knowledge, then we are freed from this material bondage, this karma bandha. So because we will be able to achieve the status of yoga with the help of this knowledge. So yoga, so then only we will be eligible for, we will become eligible for liberation from this material veil. For one who is not disturbed at all and who is able to be equal in both happiness and distress, so then he is eligible for liberation from this material veil. That's what Krishna is teaching. Krishna is saying, Yamhi na vyadayanti eti purusham purusharshava sama dukkha sukam dhiram somrtatvaya kalpate. That means sama dukkha sukam. So in both distress and happiness, one should be equal. So then we will be able to free ourselves from this material bondage. Then we are eligible to get liberated from this material veil. So the whole purpose, the meaning of yoga itself is to achieve this status. And for that, we need to get free ourselves from the 3 modes of material nature. If we don't have the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, if we are ignorant, then we will be most of the time controlled by the tamoguna. Tamastvajnanajam viddhi moganam sarvadegina. So tamoguna, the mode of ignorance. So the mode of ignorance comes from the not having this knowledge, ajnana. Ajnana means ignorance, one who has no knowledge. So that's why it is the tamoguna. So another thing is that when we are having attachment to material sense objects, then rajoguna will control us. So the rajoguna, rajo ragatmakam viddhi trishna sanga samudbhavam. So rajoguna is produced from the attachment to the sense objects. Raga is attachment, and sanga is also attachment. So when we have attachment on this material sense objects in this material world, then we will come under the control of the rajoguna. That is the mode of passion. So mode of ignorance and the mode of passion, they all control depending upon whether we are ignorant, if we don't have any knowledge, and if we are attached to material sense objects or not. So that means if we have the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, that means we are no more ignorant. So that means we will be completely freed from the tamoguna just by knowing the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Just by getting the complete knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, we will be completely freed from the tamoguna. Of course, by getting the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, we will be freed from all the modes of material nature. But the first thing is that once we have this knowledge, then we are no more ignorant. So then, with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, if we are able to understand our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, then if we are able to follow Krishna's instructions, Te me matam nidam nityam anutistanti manavagam. Anutistanti means following. Anyone who follows my instructions, me matam. So then with faith and without envy. So saddhavanto anasuyanto, then we will be freed. Muchyante tepi karma bhi. We will be freed from all the bondage to this material world. So that's why muchyante tepi karma bhi. So te me matam idam nityam anutistanti manava. But if we have no knowledge, if we are ignorant, so that means we are controlled by the modes of nature, controlled by the mode of tamoguna, controlled by the mode of rajoguna. But with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, if we develop attachment to Krishna, so then we are not controlled by the mode of passion also. So then it is sattva-guna. So sattva-guna is tatra sattvam nirmalatvat, prakasakam. That sattva-guna is nirmalatvat. Prakasakam anamayam. Anamayam means it's free from miseries. Prakasakam anamayam. Sukasangena badnadi jnana sangena chanagam. So that is going to bind us to happiness. Sukasangam. The jnana sangha. It is going to bind us to knowledge. So that's why the sattva-guna brings us happiness and knowledge. So that means not having the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, then we will be all the time in the tamoguna. So that way we understand how the three modes of material nature are controlling us. So the science of Bhagavad Gita is teaching very clearly to us. Krishna is teaching very clearly in Bhagavad Gita that how to free ourselves from the three modes of material nature. So with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, when we develop attachment to Krishna, so then by Krishna's mercy, when we perform devotional service unto Krishna, when we develop attachment to Krishna, and when we do everything only for Krishna, so then we are freed from all the modes of nature. Sagunan samatiteta. So bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatiteta. Mamchayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatiteta brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So we understand all these things very clearly from Bhagavad Gita. So that means anyone who has no knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, who is completely ignorant, he is most of the time controlled by the mode of tamoguna, mode of ignorance. But anyone who has still attached to the material sense objects, then he is controlled by the mode of rajoguna. But anyone who has got the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and surrenders unto Krishna and develops attachment to Krishna, he will be freed from all the gunas. So nirgunatva, nirguna. So that's why Krishna is teaching in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna that Traigunya Visaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavo Arjuna. So the Vedas deal with the three modes of material nature, but you become free from these three modes of nature. Nirdvandvo, Nitya Sattvasto, Niryoga Kshema, Atmavan. That's what Krishna is teaching. Traigunya Visaya Vedan Nistraigunyo Bhavo Arjuna, Nirdvandvo, Nitya Sattvasto, Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. So Nirdvandvo means free from the dualities. Nitya Sattvasto. So always situated in this Krishna consciousness. Nitya Sattvasto by Niryoga Kshema. Niryoga Kshema means not going after the results. So Yoga Kshemam Vahamyakam. Krishna is saying that I will bring the Yoga Kshemam. I will bring you what you want. So whatever we need, Krishna will bring us. Krishna will take care of us. So we should not be going after them. So that's why Niryoga Kshema. So Atmavan, be situated in yourself. That's why Krishna is saying that Atmavan. So if you do like that, so then Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. That's why Krishna is saying that Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. So that's why we need to perform everything as yoga. So that yoga means not getting affected by the results. So siddhi and asiddhi, both in success and failure, one should be equal. So that equanimity is called yoga. So samatvam yoga uchyate. So if we do like that, then by Krishna's mercy, if we do all our activities as an offering unto Krishna, then nothing is going to bind us. So that's what Krishna is teaching in Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is teaching very clearly that yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna samsayam atma bandhau na karmani nibadhnanti dhananjaya. Yoga sanyasta karmanam. So if we perform this yoga, that is with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, when we are not affected by the results, when we are able to be equal in both success and failure, so that's why yoga sanyasta karmanam. So with that kind of yoga, we should renounce the activities, means we should renounce the attachment to the results of the activities. So that's why yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna samsayam. So with the help of knowledge, we should destroy the doubts of ignorance. Jnana sanchinna samsayam. So we should completely destroy. That's what jnana sanchinna samsayam. Samsayam means doubt. So if you have doubt, like already I explained those slokas in the previous lectures, Krishna is teaching us very clearly that Agnyascha asraddha danascha samsayatma vinasyati. Samsayatma. So if we are doubtful, then we will be destroyed. So we are not going to get any good thing for us. Samsayatma vinasyati. Then nayam lokosti naparo nasukam samsayatmanaga. Not only in this world and in any other world, we are not going to be happy at all. So that's why Krishna is teaching here that jnana sanchinna samsayam. So if we are able to destroy all our doubts with the knowledge, with the weapon of knowledge, that's why jnana sanchinna samsayam, with the weapon of knowledge. So then atma bandhau na karmani nibandhanandi dhananjaya. Then no activity is going to bind us. So no na karmani nibandhanandi atma bandhau. No activity, whatever activity we do, nothing is going to bind us to this material world. Atmavantam na karmani nibandhanandi dhananjaya. So this is a very important sloka. Like all these slokas, Krishna is teaching us very clearly that if we perform all the activities when situated in that status of yoga, so that means not getting disturbed by the results. So then no activity is going to bind us to this material world. Nothing is going to bind us. So that is what is known as, this bondage is known as karma bandham, janma bandham. So this is going to bind us. But Krishna is telling very clearly here that atmavantam na karmani nibandhananti. No activity, no duty, no action is going to bind us to this material world. So when is that going to happen? When we are able to destroy our ignorance, destroy our doubts with the weapon of knowledge. Jnana sanchinna samsayam. So that's why this Bhagavad Gita is the weapon of knowledge. So with this Bhagavad Gita, we can actually asanga sastram, the weapon of detachment. So the weapon of detachment is that when we are able to get this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, when we are able to understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when we are able to attach ourselves with Krishna, so then we will be able to cut down all our attachments in this material world by the weapon of detachment. Asanga sastrena dridena chitva. Tatat padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gata nanivartanti bhuyaga. So then we should seek for the place. Having gone, we will not come back again to this material world. So that is Krishna's abode. So that is Krishna's abode, Krishna's well. So Krishna is teaching very clearly in Bhagavad Gita that we should achieve that status. So that means nirmana moga jita sangatosa adhyatma vidya vinivritta kamaga. So dvandvaigi muktaga sukha dukka samjaigi gacchantyamuda padamavyayam tat. So nirmana moha, free from the moha, free from the illusions, nirmana moha, jita sanga dosa, that is having conquered the association in this material world, that means completely detached. So that's what jita sanga dosa, adhyatma nitya, vinivriddha kama, so free from the desires. So being situated, having the knowledge about our own self, adhyatma nitya, vinivriddha kama, dvandvaigi muktaga, free from the dualities in this material world. So dvandvaigi muktagam, sukha dukkha samjayagi, being equal in both happiness and distress. Then gacchanti amuda padamavyayam tat. So amuda, a person who is not a fool, he will reach the destination. So that is everlasting, permanent. Avyayam, avyayam padam. So that means that is a permanent life we are going to get. So we need to achieve all these qualifications. And that is possible only with the help of this Bhagavad Gita knowledge. Only when we understand this Bhagavad Gita fully, then only we will be able to gain all these qualifications. Then we will be able to go to Krishna's world. This material world is, this Maya is very strong, and very easily this Maya tricks us, and we develop attachment to the material sense objects, and then we are focusing and we are wasting our human life. Then we will be simply losing this great opportunity to get out of this material bondage. So what we are doing right now is the great thing in our life. So we are studying and understanding Bhagavad Gita every day, and we are making great progress in our efforts to study and understand Bhagavad Gita. So if definitely by Krishna's mercy we are able to achieve success in this effort. Only problem Krishna is saying that if we don't believe in this Bhagavad Gita, then only it's a problem for us. That's what we studied. Krishna is saying that asraddha dana purusaga dharmasyasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante. Aprapya mam. Aprapya mam means not able to come to me. Mama prapeva kaunteya mrityu samsara bhatman. So that's why aprapya mam nivartante. So in order to reach Krishna, so that should be our goal. Our goal is to go to Krishna's world, Goloka. So for that, we need to have this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. That's what we are getting this knowledge fully. So with this knowledge, we very well understand how the modes of, even we are understanding how the modes of nature are created, how the modes of nature are controlling us, and why the modes of nature are controlling us, and when the modes of nature are controlling us. Everything we are able to see very clearly with the knowledge of this Bhagavad Gita. As I said in the very beginning, just ignorance. Ignorance means not having the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita means, that means we will be in the Rajoguna or Tamoguna only. We can't be in the Sattvaguna if you don't have the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Because if we have the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, if we are in Sattvaguna, then we are going to get this knowledge. Jnana Sangyana. So, Sukha Sangam. So that way, Krishna's mercy, we are all getting this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. And we are going to definitely make use of this in our life. There is no doubt about it. So we need to keep on studying these slokas again and again. Because this is like, say always, like food. When we are eating food, we cannot say that I'm done with my lunch afterwards. Now I don't have to eat anymore. So we cannot say like that. So similarly, Bhagavad Gita, when we are studying Bhagavad Gita, I'm done with studying Bhagavad Gita, finished all the chapters or finished all the slokas. Now there is nothing else for me to know. So I'm done with that. Like that we cannot say, because the Bhagavad Gita is the food for the soul. So for the Atma. So that way we should keep on studying Bhagavad Gita, understanding the slokas, and practicing and remembering all these slokas, and then sharing this knowledge to others. And so that way, by Krishna's mercy, we will always be connected with Krishna through this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. All the time we will be connected with Krishna if we just study this Bhagavad Gita fully. So that way, just this one book is more than enough for us, this Bhagavad Gita. And of course, I strongly recommend to study Srimad Bhagavatam when we have time after studying Bhagavad Gita. First thing is that we need to study Bhagavad Gita and understand Bhagavad Gita fully. So then if we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand, we will be able to enjoy about Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's stories. So that way, in this Bhagavad Gita, this 700 slokas in 18 chapters, Everything Krishna is teaching us very, very clearly. Again and again, Krishna is repeating the same message with different slokas in different ways. We are able to completely understand. Because Arjuna is asking a lot of good questions. Excellent questions Arjuna is asking. So because of that, we are able to get this complete knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So in the 9th chapter, 3rd sloka, we studied, like in the first and second slokas also we studied, Krishna is explaining about the importance of this Bhagavad Gita knowledge. And Krishna in the first sloka in the 9th chapter, Krishna is saying that I am explaining you this knowledge today because you are not envious of me, and by knowing which you will be freed from the miseries of material existence. That's what Krishna is saying there. So, Jnanam Vijnana Sagitam Pravakshami. I'm explaining to you, Yajnatva Mokshase Asubat. Then Krishna has said that in the second sloka, this Bhagavad Gita is the king of knowledge, it's the king of secrets, and it is the purest knowledge and the topmost knowledge, and we can directly perceive ourselves with this knowledge, and it can be joyfully performed, and it is the everlasting knowledge. Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, Pavitram, Uttamam, Pratyaksha, Vagamam, Dharmyam, Susukkam Kartum, Avyayam. So now in the 4th sloka, 3rd sloka we studied that, Krishna said that, Asraddhadana Purushaga Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapya Mami Vartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. So Aprapya Mam Nivartante Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. So if we don't have faith on this Bhagavad Gita knowledge, this Dharma, in this Dharma, if we don't have faith, so then Krishna is saying that we cannot reach Krishna. Aprapyamam nivartante mrityu samsara vatmani. We will come back to this material world where death is certain. In the 16th chapter, when Krishna is talking about the demoniac persons, at that time also Krishna is saying that Asurim yonima panna muraga janmani janmani mama prapyaiva kaunteya tato yanti adamam gati. So those who are having this demoniac nature, so life after life they cannot achieve me. Mama prapyaiva to kaunteya. Mama prapyaiva. Same thing here Krishna is saying that in the 3rd sloka, aprapyamam. Aprapyamam, mama prapyaiva. So that means you cannot go to Krishna. We cannot go to Krishna. If we don't have faith on this Bhagavad Gita knowledge, if we don't get this knowledge, then we cannot go to Krishna because we don't even know about Krishna. We don't even know about ourselves. So we will be completely ignorant. We will be simply like fools. That's it. In front of Krishna's eyes, we will simply look like idiots, fools. That's it. If you don't have this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So in the next sloka, Krishna is teaching in the 9th chapter, 4th sloka, Krishna is teaching us there. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagatav vyaktamurtina matsani sarvabhutani nachakam te swavastita. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyaktamurtina. This entire world, this Jagam, this entire world is pervaded by me in my unmanifested form. That's why Jagat Avyakta Murtina. Avyakta Murtina. Avyakta Murti means unmanifested form. So this Jagat, this world, this universe, this world, this universe is pervaded by my unmanifested form. That's why Jagat Avyakta Murtina. That's why people worship God in his impersonal feature. So that's why this is called Jagat Avyakta Murti. Avyakta Murti is the impersonal way of worshipping God. Because God can be worshipped as a person or as an impersonal also. Impersonal. Because in the 12th chapter, 1st sloka, Arjuna asks a question. Yevam satata yuktaye bhaktastvām paryupāsate ye chāpi aksharam avyaktam tesam ke yoga vittamah. So those who always engage in your worship as a person, worshipping you as a person, bhakta, because worshipping God as a person then only we will be known as bhaktas, the devotees. So evam satata yuktaye bhaktas tvam paryupasate. Bhaktas tvam paryupasate. Those bhaktas, those devotees always worshipping you. Ye chapi aksharam avyaktam tesam ke yoga uttamagam. And those who worship the unmanifested, Aksharam, Avyaktam, Avyaktam. Same thing Krishna is teaching here then. Avyaktam, Aksharam, Avyaktam. So, Avyakta Murtina. That's what Krishna is saying, that Avyakta Murtina, unmanifested form. So that's why Arjuna is asking in the 12th chapter, Echapi Aksharam Avyaktam. Tesam ke yoga vittamagam. Out of this, who is the best? Tesam, out of them, out of these two. Yoga vittama. Tesam ke yoga vittamaga. Ke means who? Who is the best? That's what Arjuna is asking. Of course, Krishna is saying that Maya vesya mano ye mam nityayuktaga upasate saddaya parayo peta te me yukta tamo matakam. So Krishna is saying that those who always worship me as a person, Maya vesya mano ye mam. So by focusing their mind on me, nityayukta upasate, by always worshipping me, by always engaged in my devotional service, Nityayukta Upasade Saddhaya Parayopeta. So with faith, so with great faith, with supreme faith. So I consider them to be the most perfect. That's what Krishna is saying. So that way here, but Krishna has got this unmanifested feature also. Krishna is also impersonal. That's why in some religions people worship God as not having a form. So Krishna is impersonal here. So Avyakta Murtina. So Maya tatam idam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. So this whole universe is pervaded by my unmanifested form. Matsani sarva bhutani. All living entities are within me. Matsani sarva bhutani. They are all in me. Nachagam tesu avasthita. But I am not in them. They are all in me, but I am not in them. That's what Krishna is saying. But in the 6th chapter also we studied in one shloka, Krishna said that Yoma pasyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pasyati tasyagam na pranasyami sachame na pranasyati. One who sees everything in me, one who sees me in everything. So for me he is not lost, for him I am not lost. That's what Krishna is saying. But of course Krishna is there in everyone's body as super soul, as Paramatma. But here Krishna is saying that in his unmanifested form. So Krishna is not talking about his Paramatma feature. Krishna is talking about his impersonal feature, unmanifested form. This whole world is pervaded by him. Everything is in Krishna. That's why in the next chapter, in the 10th chapter, which is called Vibhuti Yoga, so we are going to study a lot. Arjuna is going to ask Krishna about his unmanifested form. So Arjuna wants to know. So that's why in the 11th chapter, Krishna will show the universal form. So that is known as Viswarupa. So that Viswarupa is same as this Avyakta Murtina, this Jagat Avyakta Murtina. So that's what Arjuna is asking Krishna, in what are various forms. Kesu Kesu Cha Bhavesu Chintyosi Bhagavan Mayam. So in what are all the various forms I can think about you? That's what Arjuna asks. At that time, Krishna talks about his universal, in what all various forms he is there in this world, how he is pervading everywhere. So then in the 11th chapter, Arjuna is asking Krishna that you please show me that universal form. So that's what Viswarupa Krishna shows. So these are all about this unmanifested form, because in the 9th chapter, Krishna is giving a hint. That's why Arjuna is asking that question. So Krishna is just now touching here that I pervade this entire universe by my unmanifested form. That's why Arjuna asks that question. So that's why in the 11th chapter, Arjuna asks him to show the Viswarupa, universal form. That's why in the 12th chapter, Arjuna asks the question that out of this, who is the best? Who worships you as a person, or who worships you as in an impersonal feature? So who is the best? So that way, this Bhagavad Gita, there is a continuous flow starting from the first chapter, first sloka, to 18th chapter, 78th sloka. So this is a perfect science. So only thing we need to understand this fully by Krishna's mercy, then our life will become very, very blissful. There is no doubt about it. So by Krishna's causeless mercy, we successfully finished the sloka number 4 in the 9th chapter today. And I will stop now and we will discuss if any questions are there. Hare Krishna.
Saying that I am like everything is in me, but I am not in them. So what is the conceptual soul and super soul?
That is correct. That's what I was explaining that sloka also. So because tomorrow you will understand. Because the reason Krishna is saying like that, because he was standing in front of Arjuna. Krishna was standing in front of Arjuna. At that time, you can see Krishna as a person there standing in front of him. So at that time, Krishna is not in everything, correct? So Krishna is there in everyone as a super soul. As Paramatma is situated in everyone's heart. But as a person, Krishna, as a person, how we see him, how he came here. So Krishna himself is a person. Krishna is a person. So Krishna is saying that everything is in my unmanifested form, in my impersonal form. So that way, Krishna can exist simultaneously in his impersonal feature, where everything can be within him. It is already within him. So Krishna can have the consciousness, the universal consciousness. So like in our body, if something it hurts or something in our leg, we immediately through nerves, we goes to the brain and we understand what's happening, correct? So like that, in the entire universe, Krishna is in his universal form. That's what is called Viswarupa. So everything is in Krishna, everything is within Krishna. That's what Krishna is saying, that as an universal form, as a Viswarupa, everything is in me, but I am not in them. That's what Krishna is saying. So when he talks about this, why he's saying like that? So that's what we will study in the next sloka, in the 5th sloka tomorrow. Krishna is saying that, so now in the 9th chapter, 5th sloka, I will just quickly, tomorrow we'll discuss that at length. But I will just, because you asked this question, I'm just explaining that, Prabhu. So in the 5th sloka, Krishna is saying that, Nacha matstani bhutani pasyame yogamaiswaram. So still not everything in me. That also Krishna is saying that. So now you behold my mystic opulence. So that way, Krishna, it all depends on how you look at it. If, as a super soul, if you say Krishna is there and situated in everyone's heart, and Krishna is there in each and every atom, Krishna is there everywhere. But as a person, when you see Krishna, when he is there, at that time, everybody is different, correct? Every Arjuna is standing different, Krishna is standing different. So that's what Krishna is discussing here, Prabhu. To a certain extent, you understand that, Prabhu?
Yes, sir. I understand a little bit, not a whole.
Exactly.
I understand the concept. Yeah,
tomorrow when we finish the next sloka, you will understand more, Prabhu. In the fifth sloka. Okay, Prabhu?
Okay, sir. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Right now, you can get that Krishna is talking about his unmanifested form. That's what Krishna is talking about. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Just listening.
Understand everything, Prabhu, today?
Yeah. We cannot say understand everything, but we will keep on learning it.
Yes.
Because it's a vast universal subject, and I'm listening to the first time, so I cannot say I understand everything, but I am learning, and hopefully in the second run I may able to get the full.
Yes, Prabhu. Not only second run, we will keep studying again and again. So you will completely understand it. Because Bhagavad Gita is the unlimited source of knowledge, Prabhu. That is the main thing. It is.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
And today just early in the morning at 4:30, I started listening to Brahma Samhita, what you have posted in the WhatsApp.
Very nice. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, for around half an hour. Then followed by Aditya Hrudaya Stotram and then Bhagavad Gita now. So
it's very good, Prabhu. Very good. Yeah, Brahma Samhita, if you are listening every day, that is really, it's so much ultimate glorification of Krishna, Prabhu. That is very nice.
Yeah. That's it,
and also chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then studying Bhagavad Gita, all these things will eventually take us out of this material world, Prabhu. Get us out of this material world.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Morning from this part of the world.
Good morning.
This is the first session with you, and it was really, really superb. Unfortunately, I am logged in from my official account, so my surname is saying in that way. I have two questions for you.
From which place you are joining, Prabhu? From?
I am joining from Bengaluru.
Oh, very nice. Okay, okay.
My first question is regarding the session that you told. That is, see, I am a completely materialistic person. My age is 28. I am at the starting age of my professional career, and I'm deeply enchanted by all the goodies that are present around me.
Yes, Prabhu.
Here, that yes, you should emancipate yourself from all the materialistic enticements. It is something like a theoretical lesson to me, but practically, when I'm trying to do it, I am not able to do it because I feel that I have my necessities to be fulfilled and I have some my luxury cravings to be fulfilled, and I'm putting it very fair and square. Even if I'm accepting before someone that hey, you know that these are not the things that we will carry to with ourselves to Gokul Dham and something, but that is what is actually happening when it comes to the real feeling, when it comes to the real world. So, do you have any suggestions for people from for me, especially considering my age, situation, and all those things, that how we should do? This is my first question. And Guruji, my second question is a little different. This is because today was the first session that I had. I was logged into this group for a long time, but today I felt like participating. Is it possible for you to conduct these sessions in vernacular languages? I am basically a native of Bengal and I am hailing from one of the border states, border districts. And I am surrounded by people who are every day converting or leaving away from Sanatan Dharma, or even if they are present, they are somehow or the other not convinced because maybe of not so capable person trying to make them understand the depth of Dharmic Shastras. And the thing is that we are losing out in count and numbers. So I have been trying from with my little efforts with whatever the time I have in social media and all. I'm running pages and all. Is it possible for you or someone among your team to actually draw some practical examples for some middle class people who are day to day wage earners or that kind of people? Because these are the people whom, as I mentioned, that the demography is slowly changing, is what we are experiencing within and around areas surrounded by us. And even I have many friends from Bangladesh who are also looking for guidance from people like you, based out of India, who can actually help them. These are all Hindus I'm talking about, who wants someone who can actually tell them that yes, this is the concrete and the goodness present in our dharma. So if something can be done from that side, nothing good like that, I will be in touch. Please let me know. That's all. Thanks.
Good, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu, for asking your two questions. And let me first answer your first question, Prabhu. So, in fact, Bhagavad Gita is the knowledge should be taught right from the school itself, Prabhu. From the school itself, it should be taught as a subject. We go to school and study many subjects, starting from reading, writing, and then math, and then physics, chemistry, biology, and whatnot. All the different subjects we study. Then we like economics or engineering, medicine, law. A lot of things we study, but nobody is teaching Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a science. So, in fact, this should be taught. I think this will answer your second question also. So if this knowledge is given, if this knowledge is taught everywhere, then the dharma will flourish. Then it is going to like change this completely. The dharma, that is the main thing. This Bhagavad Gita is the dharma. So when that is the case, so the age you mentioned about your first question, Prabhu. Now, if you think that I'm able to give this knowledge, I'm able to teach this Bhagavad Gita. So this is not just coming in a year or two efforts. It is by Krishna's causeless mercy. It's decades of effort. So I started at the age of 22 or 23 when I started my MTech in IIT Bombay studying Bhagavad Gita. So at that point of time, I got an opportunity. My Guru Maharaj, who came to IIT Bombay to hostel and taught Bhagavad Gita every weekend. So of course, Krishna's costless mercy, I was very fortunate that I got the opportunity to arrange this Bhagavad Gita lecture in my hostel room. So that gave me a great opportunity to serve Krishna. So that it went on for so long until I finished my MTech there and I understood all the knowledge. So then I came to IIT Madras. I started my PhD. So there I continued this. So it's all starting from 1992, 93 onwards. So that way, what I'm trying to say, Prabhu, like all these years, materially speaking, I didn't lose anything, Prabhu. I'm working and I did my PhD very well and I got my job also. So I'm working in a multinational company and doing my analysis, like engineering, using all my engineering skills and everything. But I'm able to now teach Bhagavad Gita also by Krishna's mercy very well, like by understanding all these things. So why I'm just quoting myself as an example, because the reason is I'm saying that because Bhagavad Gita is so much powerful, Prabhu. We will not lose anything, even materially speaking also. You asked that materially what will happen. I need to take care of a lot of things, all those things. Krishna is taking care of everything, Prabhu. That is the main thing. So Krishna is there, and if we depend on Krishna, so Krishna is saying that Yogakshema Mahamyam, I will take care of you. That's what Krishna is saying. So that way, if we depend on Krishna, what we need materially, Krishna will take care completely. So Krishna will give you job, Krishna will give you money, Krishna will give you all your promotion or whatever you want. Everything, if we need Krishna, Krishna knows, then Krishna will take care. So only we have to simply do our job of serving Krishna. That's it. Studying Bhagavad Gita, teaching Bhagavad Gita, all those things. Especially in order to come to the second question, so this is very important. So that way, I'm very happy at this age itself, you are becoming very serious on this. So there is much more we can do. Actually, this Bhagavad Gita is something to use in our life. It is not sometimes people say that, oh, at this young age, why are you studying Bhagavad Gita, all such things. But that is totally wrong. Bhagavad Gita, in Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is teaching us how to act. So if we don't know how to act, so at old age, if we just study how we can make use of it. But that doesn't mean that somebody who got the opportunity at old age, they are not fortunate. It doesn't mean like that. Any age you get the opportunity, you start making use of it, because old age means again you are going to become young. So next body will get a young body, then again we will get opportunity. So that way, this is going on life after life, we will get this opportunity, Prabhu. So that way, it's a great thing. And if you take this very seriously, I'm very much, I can guarantee, based on Bhagavad Gita, that materially speaking, we are not going to lose anything. Krishna also very clearly saying in Bhagavad Gita, in the second chapter, sloka number 40, Krishna is saying that Nekha Bikramana Sosti Pratyavayo na vidyathe Swalpamapi Yasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution. Even a little advancement in this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So that is the main thing, Prabhu. So I hope that answers your first question. So now I will go with your second question. So your second question, you mentioned about that this knowledge should go to all levels of people. So that's what I said in the very beginning, that it should be taught in each and every schools. This knowledge should be available everywhere. So that way you have a great responsibility now to do this. So we think that when we people like only based on religions, we say that Hindus are Muslims or Christians, like that. Bhagavad Gita, as you yourself said, that this is Sanatana Dharma. This Sanatana Dharma, it's applicable to all the souls. So when we talk in levels of in terms of soul, so even not only among the human beings, different people with different religious faiths, but even all animals, everything are same only. So Krishna is saying that Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavigastini Suni Chaiva Swapake Cha Pandita Samadarshana. So a Pandita will see with equal vision a Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, everyone as the same. So he won't distinguish, because he sees the soul. He sees the super soul in everyone's body. He sees the soul in everyone's body. So that way a Pandita does not see the body. So that way, if we are actually able to deliver this knowledge, we are able to spread Krishna's message everywhere. So that is what is needed right now. So that is what is needed. If we are able to, because we are becoming a strong team. We are now like 40 plus devotees are there, and many devotees are also in YouTube. They are watching, and there is a potential that if we all can work together and try to bring in more devotees. There are many more devotees. They don't even know that we are studying Bhagavad Gita every day. And Zoom has got like more than 10,000, at least 10,000 people can join now. Where are those 10,000? So that's what we need to do. So if we work towards that, if we identify all the devotees, if we come together and study Bhagavad Gita and make sure that this Bhagavad Gita knowledge is available everywhere for everyone to study. If they are not teaching in school, it's okay, but we can make that available for all the children, so all the parents. So that is possible for us. So that way, a lot of tremendous service opportunities are lying in front of us to serve Krishna. So that's why what we are doing right now, we should do it to our level best in studying and understanding Bhagavad Gita and everywhere. So that way, first of all, if we give this education in the school level, that means the next generation, that is everybody goes to the school, even the middle class or people who are low income people, or everybody, they go to at least the schools, definitely. So that should be available for everyone. So that's why we need to focus on the children who are the next generation. So if we are able to focus with our team, becoming a very strong and powerful team, so then in the next couple decades, you will see the change, probably. You will see the change. So using Bhagavad Gita as an investment, so then the Sanatana Dharma, as you yourself said, it is Sanatana Dharma. So it's not going to go anywhere, Prabhu. It will be there. So you understand, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. You are there, Adit Prabhu? I don't know your name. You said you have got a different.
Yeah, correct. Dhanyavad, Guruji. Dhanyavad. That was really great. I was unable to speak. I was kept on mute. Okay. So thank you very much for this. One small assurance I can give you that I will definitely try to rope in more people into these sessions that you're conducting.
Yes,
I'm not very sure because my target audience are people who are not so good in English. But I will definitely try that if I can use this for translating and communicating again to them. But yes, as you mentioned, if you are taking these efforts, then it's I feel it's my moral responsibility also to extend a hand to you in whatever way possible.
Exactly, Prabhu. That we can do. And another good thing is that if you have time, I definitely strongly recommend you, whatever we are teaching in English, you can translate in Bengali, correct? So you can distribute. You can, because many times now I'm getting messages that devotees, they're asking, are you teaching in Hindi, like that? But unfortunately, I can't teach in Hindi because I don't know Hindi very well. I can understand, but I can't speak much. So that way, I think whatever we are studying every day, because this is what we are studying Bhagavad Gita. We are going much deep into each and every sloka and understanding only Bhagavad Gita. We are not deviating a little bit this way, that way. So this knowledge, somehow, if in different languages, if all of us can take it and we can give it to everyone, then it is going to even better, Prabhu. I think it will all happen. You understand, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Guruji. Yeah, I'm unmuting Geeta. Yeah. I'll unmute some new participants, Guruji.
Okay.
I'm unmuting Geeta. Geeta, you can unmute and get introduced with Guruji.
Professor also raised hand. Hare Krishna. Yeah, we are in the 9th chapter during Tuesday to Saturday morning India time. 9th chapter, I think 3rd chapter next Sunday, Mataji. So we are having two different cycles. One cycle is in the 9th chapter and another cycle is in the 3rd chapter right now.
Okay. Just
but it doesn't matter, Mataji. If you join every day, you, like today itself, I have referred slokas from many chapters, different chapter, 3rd chapter, 2nd chapter, everywhere. So that way, you it's not like we are in 9th chapter. Only towards the end, that particular sloka I'm teaching in the 9th chapter. But in the first, like at least 15-20 minutes, I'm referring all the slokas from Bhagavad Gita, Mataji. So that way you won't miss.
Okay. Thank you, Guruji.
So you are connecting from which place, Mataji? Where are you from?
Bangalore.
Bangalore. I think you told me, you mentioned.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I called once actually.
Yes, yes.
I was not well because viral fever was there,
I
so I
hope you are
couldn't.
doing fine, Mataji, now.
Yeah. No, yeah. Even COVID test also over. Nothing.
Yeah.
Only viral fever. Okay.
Yes.
Now I'm okay. Just
Krishna
try
has
to
got
know
all
that.
plans for us, Mataji. We need to do very well, study this Bhagavad Gita. Then Krishna will engage us in many ways, Mataji, in his service.
Yeah. True, Guruji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare Krishna. Mataji.
Thank you, Guruji. I'll unmute Professor Shankar.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, he raised hand. I also did.
First gentleman you talked to, you're talking about this and you'll be teaching more about it. But I'm still confused about Krishna saying, everything is in me, but I am not in everything. And he's saying in his unmanifest or impersonal form.
Yeah.
Yet I know he lives in us as a para-atman, right?
Yeah.
Para-atman. So is that in his manifest or personal form?
Yes, Krishna is having two forms. Like one is personal form, that is original Krishna, that is Adi Purusha. So that's why in Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma is glorifying Krishna as Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Adi Purusham. Purusha means person. That's what we need to understand. Purusha. Adi Purushan. Adi Purusham means the original person, original personality, supreme personality of God. And Krishna also is saying in the 15th chapter that Yomam evam asammudo jnanati purushottamam. So anyone who knows without any doubt, without any confusion, that I am the supreme person. So that's why Krishna is Purushottaman. Purushottama means the supreme personality of God. That's why Yomam evam asammudo jnanati purushottamam. Sasarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. So he is the knower of everything and he worships me in all respects. So that way Krishna is a person. And when Arjuna, even in the 11th chapter, when we study in the Viswarupa, in the universal form, so when Krishna is actually, when Arjuna asks Krishna to show the universal form Viswarupa, Krishna shows that. Then again Arjuna asks Krishna to show his four-handed form, that is called Devarupa. Krishna's Devarupa is four-handed form. Then again Krishna comes to the two-handed form, Krishna's original form. That's what Krishna's original form. That is two-handed form. So Krishna is here. How he came 5,000 years ago to this earth. So that is Krishna himself directly came. So that way, that is Krishna. When we go to Goloka, when we go to Krishna's well, get liberated from this well, we will go and see Krishna like that. So Krishna is so beautiful. So he's a beautiful person. That's why Lord Brahma is actually in the Brahma Samhita is glorifying Krishna that Venum Kwanantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham Barhavatam Samasitam Bhuta Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Visesa Sobam Govindamadi Purusham Tamagam Bhajami. So Krishna is adept in playing in his flute with blooming eyes like lotus petals, and his body tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his head bedecked with the peacock's feather. So his beauty is so much beautiful that the millions of cupids are. That's what Kodi, Kantarpa Koti, Kamaniya Visesa Sobam. So they are just attracted towards Krishna's beauty. So such a beautiful person is Krishna. So he's a beautiful person. So as a beautiful person, Krishna, how he can be there in everyone? So, but he's there as a person, he's there. But in his unmanifested form, Krishna also has got his unmanifested form. That is called Viswarupa. That's what in this sloka today we studied that Jagat Avyakta Murtina. So in that form, Krishna is expanding everywhere. That same person, Krishna, is expanding everywhere. So Krishna can do all these things. When Krishna was here 5,000 years ago, like he saved 16,000 princes from one demon. So then all of them, Krishna married them. So Krishna had 16,108 wives, families. And everyone thought that Krishna is there with them. So Krishna can expand himself to so many Krishnas. So Krishna has got unlimited power. Krishna is the source of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattaga sarvam pravartate. And Krishna is everything. Mattaga paratharam nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre mani ganaiva. So that way we cannot put any limitations to Krishna's power. Nothing can limit him. Krishna is boundless. So that's why when Arjuna asks Krishna, you tell me about your opulence. At that time, Krishna is saying, Krishna told Arjuna that Hantate pravachyami divyagi atma vibhudayaga pradanyataga kurusresto nastyanto vistarasya me. So my opulence is unlimited. So I just tell you most prominent of them because there is no limit. Nastyanto vistarasya me. So there is no limit for my opulence. So even after telling all those things, at the end Krishna told Arjuna in the last sloka, Atava bahunaitena kimnyatena tavajuna vishtabhyagamidam krishnam ekam sena sito jagat. So what? A single fragment of my energy, I pervade this entire universe. That's what Krishna is saying. So Vishtabhyaham idam Krishnam ekam sena, eka amsa, just a single amsa, with a single fragment of my energy, I pervade this entire universe. Ekam sena sito jagat. So that way we cannot put any limitations to Krishna. So as a person, as a beautiful person like Krishna, so he is there and he is out of us. At that time we are not in Krishna. But as an impersonal form, so we are in Krishna. Everything is in Krishna. So that's how we need to understand in both his personal and impersonal feature. So when we study more and more these slokas, and in the 10th chapter, 11th chapter, all those things, you will understand everything even very nicely. Even in the 8th chapter also, when we studied in one sloka, Krishna said that in the 9th sloka, Krishna said that Kavim Puranam Anuraniyamsam Anusmaredyakam. So Krishna is smaller than the smallest. Anu means the atom. So Krishna is talking about the atom in Bhagavad Gita. So the atom, what we study in the physics, chemistry, correct, in the periodic table. So Anuraniyamsam, Kavim Puranam Anusasitaram Anuraniyamsam Anusmaredyaka Sarvasya Dataram Machintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastat. So that way, Krishna is smaller than the atom. Anuraniyamsam means Krishna is even smaller than the atom. So then how can we say that, then how Krishna is standing in front of Arjuna, is he smaller than the atom? We cannot say like that. Krishna is smaller than the smallest, larger than the largest, bigger than the biggest, taller than the tallest, lighter than the lightest, heavier than the heaviest. So Krishna is everything. So we cannot put any limits to Krishna. So the real infinity, it actually goes to Krishna only. So you understand, Mataji, to a certain extent?
Yes, Guruji. I know I still have a lot. As you teach, I will understand better. But
Exactly, yes.
It is much clearer now. Thank you, Guruji.
Yeah, when we study more and more, we will understand everything. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. I just remembered one thing, Guruji. Like before 2-3 years, you quoted a verse from Bhagavad Gita which says that just as air is outside of our body, like there is so much air, but still like air is inside our body also. So in the similar way, like Krishna is outside of air, just like the Akasha, and then he is inside also. Can you please quote that verse? I think it was from the Bhagavad Gita you quoted.
That Krishna is saying that Yata Akasu Sthito Nityam Vayugu Sarvatra Gomahan Tata Sarvani Bhutani. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you for reminding that sloka, Prabhu. So in the 9th chapter only we are going to study. Those things are all going to come in the 9th chapter. Krishna is going to say that. Yeah, you are very much true, Prabhu. I'm just going to that slokam. Yeah, Yatakaso Stito Nityam Vayugu Sarvatra Go Mahan Tata Sarvani Bhutani Matstani Ti Upadaraya. The Vayu, the air, the wind, basically air which is going everywhere the sky, in the space, basically in the sky. So wherever it's blowing, like we see sudden hurricane is coming and it's at 150 miles per hour and it's coming and hitting, doing a lot of damage, and then suddenly it becomes so calm, all those things. So wherever the mighty wind which blows everywhere, yatakasho stito nityam, but it is always in the akasha. It is always in the akasha only, in the space only. So that way, understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky. So similarly, tata sarvani bhutani matsani iti upadarya. So similarly, everything, all created beings rest in me. That's what Krishna is saying. Yeah. So if we take it in that way, we will be able to understand this sloka number 4, what we studied today. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, if you go study further all these slokas in the 9th chapter, we'll understand everything. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Guruji. We have got some comments from the devotees that it is very interesting and very much value adding towards knowing the Nirguna and the Nirakara. Thank you again, Guruji. I'll unmute Lakshmana Gowda.
So there is a sloka where we can learn about the mind control.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
So just anybody can give the YouTube link so that I can go through it and I can learn more about it, because I want to learn mind control. So where I will be like I'm completely confused what I am doing, so where I am going. So I will be completely confused because I will not be in my own control. So just share me the link so that I can understand better and I can work on it.
You are in our WhatsApp group, correct, Prabhu?
Yeah. I'm in the WhatsApp group.
So with YouTube link, when we send it, I think in the WhatsApp group itself, YouTube, we have recent lectures are there, but this is from the 6th chapter. When we studied, I think Timir Prabhu can explain you more about how to access. I think in the WhatsApp group itself, in the group description, he has given the YouTube links already, I believe. Timir Prabhu, can you explain, Prabhu, about that? Hare Krishna, Timir Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, we have like 2 YouTube channels. Like one is the recent channel, like which we are using, that is the current channel. But then one is the old channel, which we had like before 1 year. So in the old channel, I think we have till chapter 6 or 7. And the old channel, the YouTube link of the old channel is given in the WhatsApp group description. So if you go to the group description, you will find the link. And then once you click on the list, you will go to the playlist. And from the playlist, you can select it chapter wise and you can go through the lectures of chapter 6. And recently, whatever we are doing, I think after chapter 8, so everything is there in the new channel. So today after the recording, once we send you the YouTube link, then you can click on the link and it will take you to our new channel. And then if you subscribe to the channel, then you will be getting our future recordings. Yes, Prabhu.
Fine.
You get it, Prabhu? And yeah, you go through that 6th chapter, starting from the beginning of the 6th chapter. The first 32 slokas, Krishna is teaching completely about mind control only. Prabhu, you will understand completely. Every day, one sloka we are doing it. So all those lectures, if you go through it completely, we discuss only about mind control only in that slokas.
Thank you so much, Guruji. I will unmute Anand Kumar.
In my unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded.
Yes.
So your unmanifested form is, what is your unmanifested form?
You are not able to, unmanifest means you are not able to see through your senses. You are not able to feel through your senses. That's
Okay.
what avyakta. Avyakta means that's what avyakta murtina. So avyakta means you are able to see, you are able to touch, you are able to, with your senses, you are able to feel. That is the manifested form. So the unmanifested means it is beyond our senses. So that's what achintya rupam. Achintya means inconceivable. So achintya rupa means inconceivable form. So that's what Krishna is saying, that in unmanifested form. So that's what avyakta murtina. So you understand that, Prabhu, about avyakta? We studied in the 8th chapter also avyakta and all. So avyakta means it's unmanifested. Unmanifested means it is beyond our senses, beyond our material senses. So we cannot even think about it. We cannot even perceive like that.
Okay.
So that's why when Krishna showed Viswarupa universal form, he gave some special eyes to Arjuna. Divyam dadami te chakshugu. So pasyame yogam aiswaram. I will give you divine eyes. That's what Krishna gave to him. You understand that, Prabhu? Murali
Yes,
Krishna
Prabhu.
Prabhu?
Understand, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. You are from Vizag, correct, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Vizag.
You told me.
Years of old, 28 years old, and I felt the same thing that like our culture is vanishing literally. So I felt the need that I should at least try to explore this knowledge and learn as much as possible. Just
Now
wanted to
we have
mention.
got the opportunity, Prabhu, opportunity to revive.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
We all have to work together as a very strong, powerful team. So Krishna is there with us, and Krishna will supply unlimited strength, resources, everything to us. So we need to establish dharma. So Bhagavad Gita is dharma. So Krishna came to this world to protect the pious and annihilate the miscreants and establish the principles of dharma. So paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha duskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge Krishna comes. So that way, now this Bhagavad Gita is the dharma. So what we need to do, Prabhu, we don't need to worry about all these things, how it's happening in the world, all those things. We have to just get this knowledge everywhere, Prabhu. We need to now work like a very big team. That's the thing. We need to now think about. I was even thinking that maybe we should form another WhatsApp group where all of us can interact and like right now in the group, it's one way I'm just sending the message, but it's a big groups. But something we need to now team up. The main thing is that we need to team up and think about how we can take it on a bigger scale. So it is possible, definitely by Krishna's mercy, because our goal is very, very clear. Because we are not we are restricted only to Bhagavad Gita, nothing else. So that way we don't have to establish a lot of things. We don't have to really manage a lot of finance, a lot of this and that. We don't have to be doing something in politics. Nothing is needed. Only this Bhagavad Gita, just to take this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, how we are going to spread this message. That is the only thing needed. How we are going to identify the devotees. That is, we need to come up with different strategies. Now all of us are here mainly because Timir Prabhu, as soon as he graduated his PhD, he finished his PhD, he spent a lot of his time in Facebook advertisement and everything. I don't even know how to, I don't even log into my Facebook actually. So like Timir Prabhu did so much. Now we are so many devotees. So now all of us actually work together and plan very well. 1 in 1,000 is a devotee. As per Krishna's knowledge in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is teaching us that Manushyanam Sagasresu Kaschit Yatati Siddhayam. So in billions of people, there are millions of devotees are there. So where are those millions? We need to find out, Prabhu. So then if millions of devotees can come together just based on Bhagavad Gita and work together, I think we will be able to do a lot of wonders by Krishna's mercy, Prabhu. You understand, Prabhu, to say Hare Krishna, Prabhu?
Yes, Guruji. Thanks a lot. Thanks to you, Guruji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Guruji. I'll unmute Shankarnath Bhattacharya.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranams, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Actually, sir, I want to just ask a question. I am just starting from learning from you Srimad Bhagavad Gita, but from first chapter to last 8 chapter, I have not listened properly. So what should I do? Number one. Number two is question that is there any other books you recommended for learning time Srimad Bhagavad Gita?
Only one book only is there, Prabhu. That is Bhagavad Gita as it is, by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Bhagavad Gita as it is, Prabhu. That is the only book which I studied. Which is the only book, Prabhu, we need to study, Prabhu. We need to
then is there no other any book needed?
What, Prabhu?
Is there is no other book needed regarding when I'm studying Bhagavad Gita? There is
Nothing.
no
Only Bhagavad Gita as it is book is enough, Prabhu. And then if you listen to our lecture every day, and then if you have that book with you and as a textbook. So any subject when you go to college or school you study, they will have a textbook. Correct? For us, the textbook is that Bhagavad Gita as it is. That is the book. So if you can read that book, refer to that book, and listen to this lecture, you will understand everything. Everything you will understand. Nothing else is needed.
Okay. Thank you, Guruji. Thank you.
Thank you. So from where you are joining, Prabhu? From which place you are from?
Anil Sood, you can talk with Guruji.
Other devotees have the questions that already you explained that answers. So I have that same question in my mind, but you explained it, and I think more will be getting clarified. I think tomorrow's sloka number 5.
Yeah. All the continuing slokas in this chapter.
Yeah, I think that's why I don't want to ask you those questions, because I think this is getting connected through the next slokas also. This unmanifested and manifested form of Krishna.
Yes,
So that's why I don't want to ask that same question again and again. Whatever other devotees asked, I already get through this knowledge. So from my side, I don't have any question from today.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. It's very nice. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Guruji. I'll unmute